to another edition of the Student Fire Podcast, live from the Speak Fire studio. My name is Bobby Berg. I'm a motivational speaker for schools, and I'm here to help you live your best life today. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Student Fire, live from the Speak Fire studio. I'm your host, Bobby Berg. I'm a motivational speaker for schools, and I'm so pumped to just rock this day with you. How you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're checking this out. First off, thank you for rocking with us, y'all. Us, the Speak Fire team, we are so thankful for each and every single one of our listeners. Y'all are phenomenal. So last week, we covered what it is to be an auditory learner or an oral learner. The learners that take information in and they thrive where they can hear what's going on, and it just makes their brain tick in the right way. This week, we're going to study what it is to be a verbal learner. Now, you're going to find a lot of similarities between last week's episode and this week's. Now, those of you that do fall under the verbal learners, I want you to understand what that actually means. For a lot of you, what does that mean to be a verbal learner? You're a verbal learner if you need to really read content out loud to really understand what's going on, or you'd rather have someone tell you the information to really be able to process it properly. That sounds really similar to what last week's was, right? What are some good tips for you? Again, just like we said last week, record your lessons. Something I find that really helps is, for those of you that really enjoy typing, or unless you like handwriting, either one will work, listen to your lesson and transcribe it. Why? Because you're getting the auditory cue, and you're also having to understand what they're saying verbatim. Now, transcriptions can take a while. I used to do a lot of transcription work in college as a side job, and I might have a 10-minute clip that I need to transcribe that could very easily take me anywhere from 10 minutes to an entire hour, depending on how many times I have to go back and replay the clip. And some of you are saying, well, Bobby, why would I go back and spend an hour's worth of time on what could be a 10-minute clip? Because come the test, for that, if any information came on that test from that 10-minute clip, I guarantee you I knew every single word verbatim. I remember during one of my music history classes, I recorded it and I transcribed the whole lecture on one giant document. Well, come the final, I'm sitting there and all you hear is, and my buddies are looking around like, dude, what is going on? And I actually closed my eyes, put my hands on my desk, and was typing, or pretending that I was typing, word for word what my professor had said throughout the lecture to get through a couple questions on the test. See, it doesn't seem like, oh, this would make a lot of sense, but I'm telling y'all, these things make such a difference when you apply these study techniques. So, what else can you do as a verbal learner? You can restate the lesson in your own words when you're doing these transcriptions. It really helps. Also, a really helpful study technique. You're a verbal learner. What do you think is something that would really help you thrive? Teach other people. I want you to actually talk other people through your lessons. What I would do a lot is my buddy Rob and I would get right out of class, go into a study room, and I would talk him through all of the notes that I had. Why? Because it reinforces what you know. Y'all, all of these tips that we're giving you are here to help reinforce the information you've just taken in. I'm not saying that you have to use every single one of these techniques. That's absurd. I want you to test these out and see what works for you. Cool? Cool. Next, read your stuff out loud. Who here likes reading? Verbal learners generally love reading. So what could be something that's really helpful for you? Go ahead, sit down, open your book. For those of you that actually do the reading, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, all of you should be doing the reading. All of you. But let's be honest, sometimes you don't have time to do the reading. Sometimes between practice and rehearsals and balancing your family life and spending time with your buddies, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you just forget to read the book or you don't have time. But it's really helpful when you do, even if you're not a verbal learner. Read the book. Something that really helps is when you're actually reading, read it out loud. Y'all, I understand that if you don't have time to, you just have to skim through it. If you're going to skim through, that's cool. But read it out loud, because you're not only getting the visual cue from the pages, from the words that you're reading, you're getting the audio cue from actually saying it out loud. Plus, you're reinforcing it even more because you're having to think with all three of these things going on at the same time. Something you're going to realize is as we're going through all of these study techniques, I don't care what kind of learner you are, you will benefit from aspects of all of them. So what else? Something that really, really helps me is studying in groups. I don't like group studying generally. But with this, my buddies and I had what we called the golden team. we would sit there and say, all right, so Bobby, I know for a fact you're one that really likes to talk. You're really good at, taking notes. Cool. So you're going to take the notes in the class. I'm like, all right, cool. My other buddy would say, hey, my handwriting's really good. So I'm going to take your notes and I'm going to handwrite note cards so that we can put them up on this whiteboard. All right, awesome. And then my last buddy would say, cool, I'm going to sit there and I'm really good at thinking through how to present questions, especially in a way that our professor would. I'm going to be asking you guys questions because it makes me think of how to word this question, and I have to know the answer to verify whether or not what you guys just said back to me is correct. And between the three of us, we had this most incredible study session every time we would study. Now, again, I don't like group study sessions, but when you find out the strengths of each person in your team, y'all, it makes a huge difference. When you find out what your strength is and you capitalize on that and don't worry about your negatives, don't worry about what you're not good at, but really hyper focus in on what you're strong at, y'all, you make the team so much stronger. What are we all trying to do here at Student Fire? See, I don't care if you're a student. I don't care if you're considering going back to school. I don't care if you're just one of our awesome listeners that's like, oh, Bobby's making a podcast? Or, oh, I heard about this podcast through some other source and I want to check it out. What are we all trying to do as the Student Fire team? We're all trying to get better each and every day. Every single day we're trying to make not only ourselves better, but we're trying to make everyone that we interact with better. So, for my verbal learners, I want you to really test these techniques out, see what works, see what doesn't. Let me know, because I'm really interested to see which techniques work for a lot of people versus what worked for me. Record your lessons, rewrite them down, transcribe them, teach other people the information that you learned to reinforce what you've figured out. Rewrite the material in your own words, as we just said, read your stuff out loud, and try group studying sessions. They might work. But most of all, keep bettering yourself each and every day. Whether the technique works, whether it doesn't, whether you're failing in some study techniques and you're trying to get better at others, that's okay. Failing is part of the process. And like we said so many weeks ago, I'm not here to make sure that you fall in love with studying. I am here to make sure that you fall in love with the process of being the best you that you can be. That's all I got for you. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Y'all, I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit me up on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook. Let me know what you thought. Better yet, hop in the reviews on the podcast you're listening to this on and leave a review there. I check all of them, and I will respond to everything that I can. Y'all, I love hearing from you. It's the highlight of my day. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I hope you are rocking everything that you do. I hope nothing's getting in your way, and for whatever does get in your way, I know you're going to find a way to overcome it like you always do. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace! That was another awesome episode of the Student Fire podcast. Thank y'all for sticking around for this long, but I got a question for you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? See, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions, like how do I record an episode? How do I get my show to apps? Like, do I have to do it individually, or can I just have one place that does everything for me? And most importantly, how do I make money from my podcast? Is that even an option? Well, honestly, y'all, your answer is Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors that want to advertise on your podcast. Yes, you. That means you can get paid to make the podcast. You can get paid to podcast the right way. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. If you want to get in on this, if you want to make your podcast a reality and you want your success and your word to be a thing, man, you already know. Hop over to Anchor and give it a start. You won't regret it. Catch y'all in the next episode. Peace. We are Speakfire. Who are we? We are a collective of inspirational, motivational, life-guiding speakers here to help you make your best life available and real today. For everyone that's looking for anything and everything leadership, you have to check out my guy, Michael Gingras, over at Leadership Fire. For my youth that are coming up, for those of you that have questions that need answers, go hit up Sean B. He's the host of Young Fire, killing the game every single Monday. For those of you that have questions that go a little deeper, for those of you that need that internal fire inside of you, not just sparked, but you need those flames fanned, go check out Aisha Thomas with Internal Fire. For my fathers, y'all, you are the real MVP. Go check out my guy Jody Cedric, the host of Father's Fire. For my champions, for my people that need to be the champion of not only their day, but their entire life, man, you'll gotta check out my man Neil Legend over at Champion Fire. For my students, doesn't matter if we're talking elementary, middle school, high school, college, my graduate students, all of you, for everything student empowerment, student leadership, and student productivity, tune in to Student Fire with me, your host, Bobby Bird. We are Speak Fire, live every Monday morning, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You gonna wake up with us? Let's get it.
I am excited to bring you my new book, Trendsetter, 7 Steps to Radically Stand Out to Be the Best You. This book details my journey of coming to the United States and being excited to embrace the American culture. But unfortunately, my culture was not accepted, and I found myself being bullied as a young girl. And in this process, I decided that I wanted to disconnect from my culture to be more accepted into American culture. And through that process, I got so depressed from trying to fit in that I attempted suicide my freshman year in high school. So this book talks about the journey of what I did to become radically transformed, to be the strong woman I am today. This book is something that's really going to enable the reader to understand and embrace who they are, embrace what makes them special, and become radically transformed. Get your copy today at becomingatrendsetter.com. Again, that is becomingatrendsetter.com, or check it out at my website at aishathomas.org.